I am excited to talk to you about how technology can be in service to people, how it can drive innovation globally. So let's start with that purpose.
Sure.
Let's start with UPI, Aadhaar, the big India digital stack. So your work has been really deeply rooted in solving foundational societal problems. So, tell us, what role has purpose played in shaping these initiatives? How did they influence the way in which each one of these things got built?
No, I think purpose is extremely important. In fact, that's why we exist as human beings. And we have tried to essentially create a way for every Indian to get access to things that will improve their lives and their aspiration. And that's really what it's all about. And when we did Aadhaar, idea was that everyone should have an online digital ID that says Suresh is Suresh or Ashok is Ashok. And that can then be the entry point into various kinds of things. When we did UPI, the idea was how do you create a population scale payment system with microtransactions where you can have small amounts of money used for buying and selling things so that everybody can participate. So the key things were it should be at population scale, 1.4 billion people. It should be frugal engineering, frugal cost. It should be inclusive. Everybody should be able to participate. And it should create an equal opportunity network for people to participate. So there is a very fundamental philosophy that can we use tech to improve the lives of 1 billion people. So very much intent driven.
From purpose, and it's also really good to see how these things actually fit with each other.
That's right.
I was talking, it's not individual point solutions, but they actually start coming together.
Yes, actually that was the advantage we had because over this 15-year journey that we have had, because I started Aadhaar in 2009, we have had a set of people who are the keepers of the flame. How do we ensure the integrity of this system? How do we make sure it's interoperable? How do we make sure that it's scalable? How do we make sure that it's secure? How do we make sure that privacy is protected? And make it operate at billions of transaction scale. So that the fact that we had that purpose and then we had the integrity of design is why we were able to create this whole thing.
That is fantastic. And now it has transformed every part of our life. So at Walmart, we start with our intent, right? We start from a customer or an associate perspective. And the aim is to solve a very specific need, a very specific, pain point. Tech is almost always part of the solution. UPI now is the largest real-time payment system in the world, right? Over 11 billion transactions. 18 billion transactions a month. Now, what principles guided the architecture of UPI so that it can be so resilient, so scalable? We talked about interoperability. Talk to us about how this all came about.
Yeah. So UPI was built by NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India, which is India's blue chip payment company. It was set up only in 2008. It's actually the same time as when I started Aadhaar, NPCI was set up. And UPI was designed by NPCI with Dilip Asbe, the CEO, Pramod Verma, who was the chief architect of Aadhaar. He worked on this, and I have been the advisor on innovation and public policy too. And this idea came about in 2013, saying we are entering a world where more and more people are going to have phones. And and smartphones were emerging by that time. We had all the major smartphones. Can we really from ground up design a payment system for this new world, which is, digital first payment system? And that took about 3 years to build. 2016, April, it was launched, April 11th. And fundamental principles was it should be frugal design, scalable to billions of transactions, open source stack, open APIs for people to connect, open architecture which allows anyone to build a consumer app for payments, connected to the banking system because the banking system comes under the regulator. So we didn't want to, that had to continue. The strength of the banking system was there. So how do you create that? So we created this concept called four-party model. where two people can transact. You can have your account in SBI. I can have my account in ICICI Bank. You can be using PhonePe. I may be using Beam. And in real time, I should be able to send you 1 rupee. That was the vision.
Yeah.
And this has never been done anywhere in the world. So it was quite a bit of a challenge to get people to believe into this idea. And by October 2016, we did about 100,000 transactions a month. And then November 8, 2016, there was this withdrawal of currency notes, known as demonetization.
That's right, yeah.
And that really brought huge amount of emphasis on digital payments. And that's how UPI got a big lift from that. And the PM himself launched the Beam application in end of December 2016. And that took off in a big way. And then because we had created this architecture, which by the way, in all the things we create, we build the rails, but we let markets innovate. So it's about knowing what's good. Scale and rails come from our efforts, but the market innovation happens. And that's what led to firms like PhonePe, which is a Walmart company, and Google Pay, and all building on top of this, and then competing in the market. And interoperability was very important. So I don't care which app you use, I don't care which bank your account is in, I can send you 1 rupee.
That's such a customer-centric way of thinking about it. And now everybody, in every fruit vendor, everybody uses it.
18 billion transactions, the world's largest payment system. But the fact is the fruit vegetable vendor can sell a 10 rupee vegetables with UPI and get the money in real time with no transaction fee. Is like a different world altogether.
It's a complete game changer. And now it's spread even outside of India.
Yeah, what NPCI is doing is NPCI is taking it abroad in multiple ways. One is to create a global acceptance network. So I can use my UPI app anywhere. The second is to create cross-border transactions. For example, India and Singapore have now tied up and linked their payment systems so that I can transfer money in real time from my Singapore bank account to my India bank account. But that takes time because you have to do each country. And also trying to see countries using UPI as the infrastructure for their own. So all kinds of things are happening there too.
It's fantastic to see how when you design with purpose and intent, it really catches on. Now, there is a lot of conversation today about, you talked about, the rails and so on. So there is a bunch of conversation around platform versus product.
Yeah.
Right? So at Walmart, two priorities for our tech teams. One, we talked about AI. The other one is really around platforms. For us, platforms enable us to bring parity of experiences to our global operations. Whether you are somebody in the US or Mexico or Canada, everything should work consistently for us, right? So that's from our perspective. Tell us a little bit about the ecosystem approach that you have championed, and how does it work?
So I think it was very much platform thinking from day one. And we had an additional twist, if you want to call it, is that we wanted other people to build the applications. So we were very clear that we would be minimal in our design. We'd only do things that nobody else can do. Let everything else, let markets innovate. If you go back and look at the Aadhaar design, it had only 4 fields in it, in the ID system: name, address, date of birth, sex.
Wow.
And because we said every additional letter we add is 1 billion keystrokes, 1.4 billion keystrokes. So we have to minimize this like hell, absolute minimal design. And I had a lot of pushback. In the government, they thought more fields you have, big guy. So I would go to the health ministry, they'll say, why don't you add blood group? I would go to the, some social welfare ministry, they'll say, why don't you add income or something? He said, no, this is simple, this is it. Because I wanted to create scale, and we had to create a system that could enroll 1.5 million people a day. Now to create 1.5 million people a day, I had to have 35,000 enrollment stations, each doing 50 people across the country. So when you're thinking that scale, you have to minimize, simplify. The UPI design was 1 page.
Wow.
The UPI API design is 1 page. So simplicity in design gives you scalability, gives you speed of adoption, and opening it up with API so other people can build on it. So platform thinking, and in your case, you have 250 million customers coming to you every week, you have 40 countries, you have 10,000 retail outlets, you have over 2 million associates. I mean, you're bigger than most countries. So you have to have the same thinking, which I, and I heard you speaking. I think absolutely, I'm a great believer that tech is only as good as it works for some people. Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm not a fan of just being obsessed with tech. Applying tech to real world, making a difference to people, consumers, that's the only game in town.
That is fantastic. That's fantastic. We talk about ourselves as being people-led and tech-powered.
Yeah.
Because we want, retail is really about people.
Yeah.
So, but now let's talk about India, right? So it's become a hub for global innovation. We talked a little bit about AI. How do you see AI shaping India's digital future?
Well, I think where India will stand out, in my view, is it will be the source of actually applying AI to real world useful issues. Because ultimately that's what is going to make the difference. And it's going to be both in three ways, right? It's going to be the fact that at Walmart, you have 13,000 employees here, and they are going to be building the fundamental AI transformation of Walmart the way you described. And I agree with you completely. It's not about point solutions. It's about strategic, coherent architecture of simplification and interoperability. So that will be built by firms like you, and that's going to be great. Then at Infosys, we service thousands of clients on their AI journey. So we know exactly what's happening. And then we'll use AI to actually make India better, because the digital public infrastructure which we have created is actually a foundation on which we can now build AI capabilities. So it's all going to be, how is it going to be useful for people? In fact, at IIT Madras, which is your alma mater, I've funded a lab called AI for Bharat, which is developing the largest Indian language capability as an open source stack which anybody can use. So we'll create these kind of things which will dramatically reduce time and speed of adoption and put real useful things in the hands of people. So if a farmer in Bihar on his phone can talk in his version of Hindi, it may be Maithili, Bhojpuri, I don't know what it is, and get real-time information from his agent on farming practices or market access, then we have delivered. And that's how we think about AI for India.
Exciting, very exciting to see how this core transformation can now be accelerated with AI.
That's right.
I think the next several years are going to be very, very exciting to see. Now, at Walmart, we are obviously very deeply invested in India. We see it not just as a source of great talent and innovation, right? We are also doing a number of, our business directly over here, our export, a bunch of products. What opportunities do you see for global companies to partner with India's digital ecosystem in a lot more effective way?
No, I think, Walmart is as good as it gets in that area. I think, as you said, you have this great development center, 13,000 people building tech for the world, for the Walmart world. You have Flipkart, which is among the top 2 online commerce companies. You have PhonePe, which is the biggest payment system company. And all these companies are contributing to India and you're doing sourcing. I mean, if, of course, in today's geopolitical world, we have our own challenges, but if India becomes a huge sourcing thing for the world, then you're creating jobs, employment in so many industries. So I think Walmart is really a great example of what a global company can partner India with. And I think you guys are a role model in that area.
We are very, very bullish on the talent over here, the opportunities over here. Now, one final question for me before we actually open it up to the questions that have been upvoted by the audience. So you said that the future is open, it's digital, it's inclusive. What gives you the most hope about the next decade of technology? What should we as global teams, what should we keep on top of mind?
No, I think, I've been in this game a long time. And I've seen every platform shift. When I started at IIT Bombay, I gave punch cards at night. And you couldn't make a mistake because...
I remember it too. We used to...
You lost 24 hours if you got one thing wrong. So you have to be damn clear about coding it properly. So from that world to mini computers, to PCs, to internet, smartphones, AI, cloud, everything. We've seen all the shifts. And frankly, I think what we're seeing today is the biggest of them all. Not just because of the tech, but the possible impact. I think in your business, if you can not only use AI internally, supply chain efficiencies, but use it to create a truly omni-channel experience, which you already have, but imagine an omni-channel agent, which wherever as a consumer I interact with Walmart, that agent knows where I was. I mean, I can start in the store, I can go home from the phone or do a pickup. Everything should be seamless.
Exactly.
If I can create a truly seamless AI agentic experience, it's a whole new world. And I think that's what you can do. And similarly in India, if we can use AI to deliver education to a few hundred million children, if you can deliver healthcare, because we'll never have enough teachers and enough doctors. So if I can amplify existing human doctors and teachers to deliver better education, we change the game. So I'm very bullish. I wish I was 40 years younger.
These are very, very exciting times. I think we have got a bunch of questions from the audience.
It's nice to see Vasant here.
Thank you, Nandan. Always a pleasure. And so much of learning collectively. As somebody who's really gone into these villages and towns as part of my journalist journey, I see people adopt tech so much. But I want to start by asking, when you have this intent to have tech better Indian lives at a scale of billion, what is the tech that has bettered your life? What are your favorite, let's say, top 2 or 3 apps or AI tools?
Actually, I am not much of a tech user myself.
Really?
Yeah. Because I find too much of this tech gives you ADD, attention deficit, constantly getting some message, some notification, some WhatsApp forward. I don't want any of that. I want a peaceful life where I can think about what to do. So I consciously use less tech.
Good God, okay. The Nandan paradox. We have questions that have come in. Savi?
Yeah, we are choosing the most upvoted question, Nandan. UPI has been a breakthrough for payments in India, and it will see more growth in the future. Currently, the only problem affecting transactions is the UPI limit. Will there be any reforms to change the UPI limit for the transaction?
Yes. Limit per transaction.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's already happened in the sense UPI limit when we started was 1 lakh per transaction. I think now it's gone to 2 lakhs. And in some categories like applying for IPO, I think it's 5 lakhs. So it will get better and better.
Sure.
But if you look at the UPI transactions, you will find the bulk of them are actually very small transactions.
Right.
And that's the real power of this idea, right? And another thing which we have is that you can then use the digital footprint of your transactions to get access to credit. So that same vegetable vendor, she first gets an Aadhaar. With Aadhaar, she gets a bank account. Then she starts a small store. She uses UPI to make payments. And then she can use the digital trail of that to get access to credit. So we have a whole system called the account aggregator system. The only country in the world where people can leverage their own data to improve their lives. So these are all happening, and I think the UPI transaction limit will go up as people become more comfortable.
Fantastic.
In fact, one question that has come in from Srivatsan, you have already answered part of this, Nandan, which is about India's role and how you actually let markets play the innovation part. But what is still missing when it comes to India's leadership in the AI field?
Well, my view is slightly contrarian perhaps, I don't know. That I think that LLMs will be a commodity because there are going to be so many of these guys building LLMs, both the American and in China. They'll become faster, better, cheaper, the knowledge will be there. It's really using this, maybe building more purpose-specific small language models which are cheaper and faster and train on your data. And we can give the same AI experience. So I think India's leapfrog will not by building the 101st LLM.
Right.
It will come from using all this tech and actually making 1 billion people's lives better.
Saveen, you want to take a couple of more questions that have come in, especially to do with soloware. And also, as an Aadhaar user, what else is being done, you think, to protect my privacy? That is Karu Subramaniam.
Well, the Aadhaar system actually is designed for privacy in the sense we only have 4 fields. Aadhaar is not a data collector. Aadhaar is an ID verifier. So I only can access Aadhaar through 2 APIs. I can use the Aadhaar for authentication to say Vasanthi is Vasanthi, or I use Aadhaar for a KYC to open a bank account. So you can't, it's not a general purpose data, and when Aadhaar is used, say, in the banking system to open a bank account, Aadhaar system does not get that data. It stays in the banking system. So by design, it's designed for privacy.
I think that sets a lot of
the minimum amount of data.
Minimal data and optimal ignorance.
Yeah.
We don't want a system to know more than it should.
On a lighter note, Nandan, how many people have asked you how to update their picture on the Aadhaar card?
Quite a few.
I think all of us had this question, but nobody posted it here. I sensed it, and this was.
Yeah.
And what's your answer to that?
I'm saying go to the nearest Aadhaar update center and update your photo.
I'm just imagining Nandan as the bot who's going to be addressing, and so many questions have been rested with what you said about the privacy aspect as well, Nandan. I guess we have question for about 1 or 2 more. What guardrails should organizations establish to ensure that their AI systems are ethical and beneficial for society? This comes from Vivek Menon.
I think today global governance is a bit messed up. So I don't know whether we'll really have a global standard, but I think companies can do it. I mean, when Walmart applies AI, they have to make sure that the models or what they use is real, it's not hallucinating, it gives proper answers. So it's now up to individual companies, Infosys, Walmart, others, to apply AI in a responsible way. I think to expect a responsible AI for the world, I think may be too much right now.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with what you're saying, Nandan. At Walmart, one of the things that we are doing is that when we use AI, we want to make sure that we do that in a trustworthy way. Ultimately, our customers are going to tell us whether
the brand is behind.
That's exactly right. Our customers always shop with us because they know that they can shop with somebody that they trust, and I think that's where
same trust must be in the AI.
That's exactly right.
You see, there's one question, Saveen, which has just now come in, and I think we should put this to Nandan.
And this will be the last question, Vasanthi, in the
interest. Yeah, indeed. And this is about GCCs, I guess the question was about the fear that how is AI going to impact GCCs, and of course, given that we have tariffs and so many other things, what is your take on how GCCs in India will be impacted in this?
Tariffs is a completely different conversation. We won't go there right now. But AI, I think GCCs will have to adapt very quickly to AI and lead from the front. I think they can't afford to not do it, because many of the things happening in AI today will make a lot of the things we do today redundant, and therefore we have to adapt to that. And we have to automate what we can and abstract the human activity to a higher level of work. And that GCCs have to do it everywhere.
Absolutely.